Happy Wednesday, everyone. It is Josh coming to anyone who happens to come across this video with a little bit of a tarot reading. I have a 3-card spread that I do. I call it the Snapshot. You may have seen me do it here before. It's simply a quick check-in as to where you're at, what is vexing and perplexing you, as well as what will heal and reveal a solution or some sort of help around what's vexing and perplexing you. This is something that you can do with your oracle cards, with your tarot cards, with your runes, whatever sort of divination that you use. I want to bring this today to you for anybody that happens to watch this video. Last time I did this, I had somebody ask if I felt that the information that was coming through was appropriate for me as well. And I like to think that the insight that tarot has to offer is universal in the way that it can apply to really almost anybody. But I also like to set the intention that anybody who's watching this video, which I guess is including me as I'm recording it, will benefit from this information. Today, I'm using the Mystical Medleys deck, and I love it. And I'll show you the back of the card. It's very old-timey, cartoony, and one of the reasons that I love this deck is because it helps us to remain lighthearted. When I deal with spiritual stuff, when I deal with clients, and I'm doing my thing here, it can be very heavy. So there's always a much needed reminder that when we are dealing with heavy stuff, whether it's spirituality, tarot readings, what have you, that it's always a good idea to remain lighthearted. And that's what this deck does for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle 3 times. I'm going to cut the cards and share with you a reading. Here we go. Remember, the snapshot is you, what vexes and perplexes, what heals and reveals. Okay, so this card right here is you. Okay, so this is the 9 of Cups. This card, I love this card. This energy of this card, it's known as the wish card. So I want you, if you're watching this, to take a moment right now to think about what your heart's desire is. I don't think enough of us, excuse me, pray or hope or wish for our heart's desire. Now, we see a joyful person or a joyful little mushroom in this card. And in the 9 of Cups, we always see these 9 cups behind them. Cups are a suit of emotion. It's the element of water, but it is our emotional faculties. And I like to think that the person that's in this card is smiling through the storm. This person has dealt with pretty much every emotion that humans can experience. I personally don't believe emotions are bad. I don't believe they're good. I just think that they're a part of us. And as such, every emotion that we experience is a motivator. It is something to help us move away from or toward something in our life. Anger isn't necessarily a bad emotion. It's an emotion that many of our ancestors, if not all of them, had, and they were angry at something that they were moving away from. I want you to see that your emotions are simply tools. And as tools are, you can interact with them in an unhealthy way. Even happiness. You can have too much happiness in your life. How does that work? You can have too much happiness in your life if you are always remaining on the bright side. If you are not sitting with what is called the shadow of yourself, if you're not sitting with your anxiety and trying to nurture it, if you're constantly way up here and you're not experiencing the emotions that might be less pleasant, then it's not a balanced emotional suite, if you will. Because you have been through the emotions of pretty much every emotion that a human can handle and experience, I want you to see them as tools. I don't want you to see them as detriments. I don't want you to even look at them as bad. This is also an important reminder to see emotions as something that are outside of you and universal to the human experience. It's very important that I don't ever say I am sad or I'm full of anxiety. I don't want to claim ownership over those. A lot of other languages aside from English, a lot of cultures that are non-American will interact with emotions as if they are outside of themselves. Instead of saying I am sad, they would say sadness is upon me. And if you deny ownership of emotions, because you literally can't be sad, you can't truly be happy, you can be in the element of sadness or in the element of happiness. But be careful about how you claim emotions. And this person is smiling through the storm because they have mastered the suite of emotions. If you don't believe that you have mastered the suite of emotions, go ahead and sit with that and see them as tools to help you move away from or toward something in your life. So that's you. This card vexes and perplexes. Another 9. All right, so we got 2 9s in a row. So this is the 9 of Swords, and the 9 of Swords is known as the Nightmare card. No, I look at it as the Nightmare card. It always shows a figure that is woken up from their dreams, and they see that, they're remembering the nightmare that they just had. This is very important for us to sit with because as a Swords card, this indicates the mental faculties. This indicates that this is all in our mind. Take a deep, hard look to that which is haunting you. And is it something that is actual? I remember in my teens, I was really, I went through a time in my life. When I was in high school, I can remember being really distraught at the idea that my parents were going to die. Blessedly, since I'm, 20, 30 years since my teens, I'm very blessed to still have my parents. Having that nightmare or having that worry didn't serve me at all. So this is the Nightmare card, and it encourages us to wake up from our nightmares, and it encourages us, I think, to be practical with our struggles, with our nightmares. And this is a good reminder for that, because we should absolutely be practical with everything that stresses us out. I want you to see this as fiction. The biggest stress in your life may indeed be fiction. Or it's not guaranteed to be fiction, but we all have a tendency of making mountains out of molehills. So be careful that you're not doing that. And the third and final card is what heals and reveals. The Hanged Man. All right. I love the Hanged Man. This is a major arcana card. This talks about sacrifice for the betterment of others. The Hanged Man is the card of Christ. It is the card of Odin. Odin hung himself on the world tree to get us the runes. Christ, upon being crucified, sacrificed himself for us. Now, this also shows a person that has been hung upside down. And there's a sense of illumination around their head. This indicates that you've got to get a different perspective. And how do you shake things up? How do you get a different perspective? How do you see things from a different light? I would encourage you to write a story about your biggest stressor. Write a story about it. In fact, write it from the third person, just a page. Instead of writing, I am and I'm dealing with, write your name. Like I would write Josh is, and Josh is dealing with, and come outside of it. Maintain what is called a witness state. Instead of being in your first person story, instead of looking at everything subjectively and through your own lens, come up out of it and look at your biggest issue, your biggest nightmare, as if somebody else is going through it. And then try to find in yourself the advice that you would give a son, a daughter, a loved one, a brother, sister, even a complete stranger if they were dealing with that biggest problem. I think that will help you absolutely gain a little perspective around that which is vexing and perplexing you. I hope this helped. Thanks so much and have a great Wednesday.